Hi Demi, thank you so much for being part of our campaign today. From our understanding, you're still in treatment.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
At the moment, I am still in treatment, but it's going really well. But I'm hoping by the time Christmas comes along, I'll have my full body CT scan and I'll hopefully be cancer free. But thyroid cancer, thankfully, is very treatable and luckily I've caught it so early. So I'm doing really well, thank you.
So how would you describe yourself in 3 words?
If I had to describe myself in 3 words, it would definitely be bubbly, caring and positive. Again, as generic as it sounds, I feel that describes me, I'm a very bubbly person.
What's your biggest dream?
Oh, this may sound really cheesy, but like my biggest dream is just to be happy. Okay, that sounds so cringe, but I feel like whatever happens in life, whatever like career I go down or whatever, I think the most important thing is happiness. But yeah, I want to be a career-driven, independent gal, do what I've got to do. So regardless that this has happened to me, I hope that I can continue and just be super positive and make a sick career, have a lovely family and just be happy. That's the main thing.
Number 1 female icon.
Oh, God. Okay, my number 1 female icon is Nicki Minaj. And I don't care what people think about that, but she is such a boss bee that I'm happy to embrace it. I feel like she's so independent, she makes me feel so good about myself and super confident. So that's why she's my female icon, apart from my mum, obviously.
Fave Nicki Minaj song?
My favourite Nicki Minaj song would be Anaconda, because I like to shake it.
I really wish we could play it now.
I'll spare you all that.
Can you tell us a little bit about your diagnosis?
So I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer in March this year. I actually found the lump back in 2019 when I was at university, so it was quite a prominent lump that sort of sat about here on my neck. I'll say it's about the size of a golf ball. And I discovered it in university. I was too busy doing my exams, like worrying about boys and partying, that I just neglected it. And then once I graduated, I told my mum, and she went into panic mode, and she was like, you need to get this checked, as we have a history of like cancer and things like that in my family. Went to go get it checked by the doctor, had a scan, and they said it was all fine. They said, your bloods have come back fine, the scan looks okay. They thought it was a thyroid nodule, which is really common in women. So I just left it, didn't think anything of it. But I remember when I came off the show and you get your phone back, I was just inundated with thousands of messages and notifications. And I remember I was reading through my requests on social media and quite a few people have messaged me and said, hi Demi, I've seen this lump on your throat, I think you should go get it checked. So I thought, okay, if other people are noticing it now, maybe it's getting bigger. But then obviously you come out of the show, your whole life changes, it's all a bit mad. And again, it just was in the back of my mind. And I think at 23 years old, your health isn't like your number 1 concern, I don't think. But I left it and then went to get another appointment in September 2020. But because of the pandemic, they kept cancelling and they rearranged and cancelled 6 times in a row. And I was finally seen in March this year, in which they did another scan, blood test fine, scan fine. And I pushed them, I said, I think something's wrong, I think it's getting bigger, is there no way you can do more checks? And they said, oh, well, we could drain the fluid if you want. And I was like, well, why aren't you doing that anyway? So I said yes. They drained the fluids, and within 2 weeks, they said they think it could be cancer, and I was in for surgery and had half a thyroidectomy. And then another 2 weeks later, I had to wait for the results. And unfortunately, they told me it was thyroid cancer, and it was a tumour the size of a golf ball that had been sat in my neck all this time. And obviously, they just didn't realise what it was for 2 years. And then since then, I've had the full surgery, so the thyroid is completely gone. So the tumour is out of my body, and I've had some further radioiodine treatment to zap away any bad cells. And I've just got to wait to see if I'm cancer-free.
Did you feel confident to kind of push back and say, no, I want you to check the fluid?
I felt really confident in pressing my doctors for more because my stepdad was actually diagnosed with stage 4 melanoma cancer just before me. And his was, again, because he wasn't referred to a specialist quick enough. They kept like shrugging him off. He had to go back numerous times over 2 years. And by the time he did get found, it was too late. So that's when I knew if something doesn't feel right in your body, always ask for a second opinion, always ask to be sent to specialists, and never feel like you're wasting time because your health is your wealth, that's what they say.
So you're in the public eye. How did it feel having to go through something so personal in such a public way?
It was really difficult having to go through something so personal and be in the public eye and have all these followers on Instagram and, you know, the news and stuff always like documenting your life. It felt really weird because I just walk down the street and then people come up to me and ask me about my cancer. And sometimes it just reminds me that I've actually got it because I'm so, I think, cold to it. Like, that's my defense mechanism. I'm just very distant from it. That when people come up to me and always asking me about my cancer and stuff, it reminds me that I actually have it. So it has been hard talking about it publicly. As amazing as it is, it's been difficult because it's a constant reminder. I get messaged every single day people asking for advice and is this cancer worrying and this and that, and I can't reply to everyone, so sometimes it's quite overwhelming, but it's done the greater good, so that's the most important thing.
Did you feel like you had to talk about your diagnosis? Did you feel like you had to share your journey? Was that a choice you made? And if so, are you happy with that choice?
It was definitely a choice for me to speak out on social media about my diagnosis, but I feel like I had to do it for my mental health. So I've got 1 million people looking at my social media every day. I think if I was to fake that I'm happy and that I'm all wow, I think that would just make me feel so depressed, because how am I like faking this lifestyle? Do you know what I mean? So for me, it was really important to come out on social media, just to be honest, and it's helped me because I've had so much amazing support on social media, and I can be true to myself. If I'm having down days or just want to come off social media for a while, I can, and I don't have to feel guilty about it, that, you know, I'm not under this pressure to keep up with all these other influencers and all these other islanders and stuff. I can think, no, I've got a lot going on. I can speak openly about it. I'm saving people's lives. So I have to feel like for me, I had to talk out about it.
How does that feel? Because I did read that obviously since you spoke out about it, a lot of women went to go and get themselves checked and actually DM'd you, I think.
Yeah.
How did that must have been a crazy feeling?
It has been the best feeling in the world, the response I've got since speaking out about my cancer. I've had, and I say hundreds of young women reach out to me. I get messaged probably every single day, people saying to me, like literally they'll send a picture of themselves in hospital just having their surgery and said, Demi, thank you so much. I wouldn't be having this surgery if it wasn't for you. And it's just, it blows my mind every single day. And I also read somewhere that since I spoke out about my cancer diagnosis, thyroid cancer Google searches have gone up by 90% this year, which I think is just incredible to have that much effect. Has been brilliant. So, and like my mum said, she was like, Demi, out of all of this, you've probably saved at least one life, if not loads more. So as much as it's horrendous what I'm going through, I feel like I'm saving people. So yeah, I was glad.
I can't imagine how that must feel.
Yeah,
just
honestly,
mad.
it's the best feeling in the world. It's so it's sad because I don't want them to go through it, but at the same time, I feel like, you know, it's helping people.
How do you stay so positive? You are so smiley, so bubbly. Where do you get your strength from? What little things do you do when you're having a bad day to kind of lift you up a little bit?
It's definitely really hard being super positive all the time. I think it comes naturally to me because I'm such a positive person. But I think at home, where I'm facing two opposite ends of the spectrum, I'm dealing with me, who's experiencing a really treatable cancer, and I'm experiencing my stepdad that's like at the worst, who's terminally ill. So I feel like for me, what I'm going through is a blessing compared to other people. So I feel grateful for what I'm going through because I know my stepdad would dream to be in my shoes. So I feel, and I've spoken to a lot of people that have got cancer, and they've said, again, as cringe as it sounds, like positivity is such an amazing medicine, and they feel like that positivity has actually prolonged their life. I feel like if you were negative about it, I think you'd spiral so much quicker. But I think I even have my down days, even though on social media, again, I'm always positive and really happy. But when I have my down days, my friends come around and they always bring me hampers full of like chocolate, hot chocolate Magic Stars, because they're my favourite. And they come round or whatever, and I just eat. So I think I've probably put on a few pounds this year. But I think that's just how I deal with it. But even already, like working with Stand Up to Cancer, it's been like counselling for me. Because sometimes I feel like my friends find it a very taboo subject, especially for my age at 23 years old. How do you talk to your best mate who's in their 20s, like, oh, how are you dealing with cancer? It's not something you'd expect to go through. So talking about this and working with Stand Up to Cancer has just been amazing because it makes it more relatable when you realise you're not going through it alone.
So as you said, you are so young. What do you think is people's biggest misconception about cancer?
I I think people's biggest misconception of cancer is that it's a death sentence. I mean, I've always treated it like that. And I always used to think cancer, old people, like, that's just, I don't know, that's just how I've always thought of it. And I used to see people on TV and young people on TV with cancer, and you never think it's going to be you. But when they tell you it's cancer, it's like such a shock to the system. And even now, you know, I was diagnosed, about 6 months ago now. I'm still in denial. Sometimes I forget I have it. I remember when I'd been diagnosed with cancer and I sat back in the waiting room and I was sat with all these like older people. And don't get me wrong, your age don't devalue your life. But I just remember sitting there thinking, how, why me? Like, I'm 23 years old, I've just come off this amazing TV show, got this incredible like career ahead of me. Why does this have to happen to me now? But I'm so grateful I found it, because it's gonna save my life. And as well, hopefully I can be a role model to young people just to check themselves, like pause Netflix for 5 minutes and just have a little feel. That's my best advice.
Do you live differently now post having your diagnosis? Like, how do you have a different perspective of life?
Yeah, I definitely have a different perspective of life since my cancer diagnosis. Even though, like I said, I'm very fortunate to have a treatable cancer. For me, it's like the banal things that used to happen in my life, the trivial things that I used to think were really important and used to play on my mind, like boy trouble or, you know, stress at university or whatever like that. To me now, it's so trivial, and I feel awful because sometimes my friends chat to me about problems in their life that they could be like really silly little things, and I'm so numb to it. I find it really hard to like, because I feel like there's such bigger problems in the world. So it's definitely made me more appreciative of life. I just feel like the little things in life really don't matter. Don't stress yourself out. There's so much more to life.
What do you think as a society, as a brand, as individuals, as communities, we could do better?
I think as a community and as general young people, to do better in terms of cancer is to talk about it more, and like don't feel afraid to like chat to people about it if they've got cancer. Like I said, I feel like sometimes my friends feel a bit awkward bringing it up to me, and like rather than being like, Demi, how are you feeling today? How's your cancer? They would just bring me chocolate or food and just be like, there you go, like that's their appreciation to me, rather than just actually sitting down and having like a grown-up serious conversation about it. So I feel like young people definitely need to not be afraid to discuss it, and you know, any concerns they have and how they find it on their body. I think one of the number one things I get in my message request is people say, Demi, I found something, but I'm scared to go to the doctors because they're so young and I think they're scared of the diagnosis, they're scared of what it could be, but it could save your life, so you've just got to go.
You've already done so much for your community by documenting your experience on your socials. You've got a huge following. Is there anything else you want to do?
I would actually love to do some sort of like documentary and work with young people, so I don't see it enough. I see all these awful, tragic stories and things like that through charities and stuff, but I don't actually really hear like just chatting to young people in general. And to me, it's like sometimes I feel a bit isolated because I'm dealing with this like living my life in the public eye, which is strange enough as it is. And at the same time, like, I'm a young girl with cancer, so it's very difficult. I remember being in hospital, and the worst thing for me, I actually had to come off social media because I could not bear to go on and see people's stories and see people's posts of my friends out partying and having fun. Because I just thought, how are you doing that and I'm stuck here? Like, I don't think it's fair, but obviously there's nothing I could do. So I feel like people just need to talk about it more.
Why do you think campaigns like Stand Up to Cancer are so important?
Campaigns like Stand Up to Cancer are vital to raising awareness for young people. Like I said, raising awareness, people like watching the show will realise, oh, you know, that lump's changed, or that mole looks different and things like that, and it will save their lives. But also, again, for me, I feel like it's so relatable. For people going through cancer, watching it brings them comfort and brings them understanding, and you know, makes them feel like they're not alone. So again, it raises awareness, and also it just makes you feel like a family, if that makes sense.
Who are you standing up for today?
Today I'm standing up for me, my stepdad Adrian, and all the young girls affected by cancer. I hope that I can be a role model to you, and let's raise some awareness.